What says my battery's low.
What it do?
What it do? Break that silence. we probably want to get a little mic check. Who's that in the background? Kevin. Who's that in the background over your left shoulder?
Darth Vader?
And, the other shoulder.
That's Michael Jordan.
That's what I thought. I almost. Oh, that's what's up. Yeah. I can see it. I can see his head in between those jackets or whatever that is that's hanging up. You got Mike hanging over you, huh?
For some reason, I put like a dumb coat jacket thing right there. Yeah.
Kevin, sit down and talk to the mic.
Now that you finally have one.
A year and a half into the production.
A professional.
We're professional.
We ready to roll?
Sure.
Professionals.
Rick and roll.
You better get out of here, honky.
Now for something completely different.
Well, two honks and Kim just messing around. You'll never know what they talk about on two honks. Two honks and Kevin. You might hear something about the NBA. Maybe they'll just make your day on two honks. Two honks and Kevin. It's sports and life and family too. Let's all listen to two honks and a Kevin. Yeehaw!
All right.
My pants.
Jared, the best thing about working from home is being able to use your own restroom.
Now for something completely different.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Would agree.
Yeah, you boys get to work from home.
Yeah.
You guys brag about it all throughout the week on text message.
Well, we just gotta make sure you understand that's what we're doing.
I'm outside cursing because it's so cold out.
It is cold.
Dude, I
outside.
hate this weather. I just shiver. I'm so freaking scrawny. I just. What do you want? I hate it.
I like the picture.
It's so bad. It's not the worst part of it yet.
No, it's
I
not even
know.
started.
It's true.
Well-
I liked your picture, Kevin, of your window in your car. You couldn't see through it.
On the first cold day of the year.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted you to guys to think about it. Think back at Thanksgiving. Think how grateful it is that you guys don't have to scrape ice off your window. Or if you're like me, I won't even scrape it off. I'll just let the defrost work. I'm just gonna stare at it like straight up. I broke too many wipers. I've scraped too many knuckles. Yeah, I'm too old for that anymore. I just let the defrost work.
You're gonna let that one little area you're gonna let that one little area on your front. You just look through it, half your drive,
Yeah.
to try to see.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pray.
Hey, can't be late.
That's right.
Can't be late to work.
Just try
Might as
to
well risk my life.
just try to make sure there's no red lights breaking in front of you.
Yes, that's all you care about, dude. We so there was a this reminds me of a
driving like this.
Exactly.
yeah. This reminds me of a time I went to a IU basketball game in Bloomington. We got tickets. I'm trying to remember who all was with me now. I know it was me and my dad, and I think it was my boy Chris Jones that's in our basketball league. And I think another buddy named Josiah. I think that's who it was. Anyways, it was like stupid weather. Like the only reason we got the tickets was because somebody else wasn't risking their lives to go all the way down to Bloomington in this god awful weather, right? Well, we're dudes, so we're like, heck yeah, man, let's go watch IU basketball. We'll make it. Well, I had a red Grand Prix back then, and so we took that, and there was something wrong with my defrost on it, dude. I literally had my dad drive home because it would I'm talking, we had nothing to look out of. Like it was the smallest. I for the life of us, we could not figure out to get we just literally could not get it off. We tried everything, rolling the windows down, but it was an issue I had been having for a few weeks. But that was we spun out on the way down there too. I forgot about that. There was two cars in front of me that hit ice and spun out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, we were looking up, it was like, oh no, there's two cars. And next thing you know, I was doing the exact same thing. We didn't get stuck, luckily, and made it to the game because we're guys. So yeah, so there's my defrost story.
You got to risk it to go to an IU game for free tickets.
man.
Come on.
Hey,
Did IU win?
They won, dude. Oh my God, y'all don't want to get me started. Look at Richard.
Hey, they won today. They won
look at
today.
Kevin. Kevin just red light me. He just goes, go. He's like, here we go. Okay. Hey, first of all, it ties into what we were talking about last week when we were talking about commentators. And I think I even made a joke about Bill Walton last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, every year at the beginning of college, when I'm so excited to watch my beloved Hoosiers, the first tournament is the Maui Invitational.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Walton always commentates the IU games. And he's a joke. Okay, does everybody agree? Has anyone heard this dude commentate?
Oh yeah. That's where I get.
It was a joke back in the 90s when he used to commentate NBA games and he'd do
NBC.
Pacer games. He was a joke.
He was Mr. Obvious. He's like, in order to win, you have to score more points than your opponent.
Yes.
That's where I
dude, no, listen. So I don't ever write on Facebook anymore, but I had to because it was it was the very beginning of the IU game against Providence when IU looked amazing. And there's 2 minutes had gone off the clock. That's it of gameplay. Like the score was 6-4 or something like that. And Luke Walton sees Jace, gosh darn it, Trace Jackson Davis, who's Del Davis's son, make a good play. He just goes, "Oh, this is the best game he's ever played." It was literally 2 minutes into the game, and I was just I mean, it's Dude, like he ran up and down the court like 2 times. He did one thing that was pretty good, and
Like
you
the dimension
claimed
that
it.
is.
You claimed it as like the best performance you've ever seen by the kid. It just tells you he really does not think. Like I think he's probably really high when
so
he's on the
excited.
broadcast.
Oh, he's on a lot of hallucinogens and
Yes. Now,
Uh,
but his commentator, I know Jared and I watch the IU games. The other guy that's with him is actually pretty
Good.
funny, but he
Yeah.
kind of plays like he Bill asked the guy how old he was. He goes, "I'm 37, but by the end of this tournament, I'll be 47." Because Bill was like wearing him out. it was so there is some humor in
That's
it,
an old
but
man
man, dude, he was like it's just nonstop talk. Like he's saying nothing. Like he's talking about trees and surfing and giving out shout outs to like former players, and like, I don't know, man. He's a joke, dude. I really don't know how he gets the job every year.
I don't know why ESPN
that's
continues to bring him back. Like, other than his decorated player career, like playing career, like he adds no insight to the game. He
No.
like Richard said, he's Mr. Obvious, and like I've always found him annoying. You know, anytime he's ever commentated, I've never found anything insightful. You know, nothing.
He's a figure.
So
He's just a figure. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like and I almost wonder if it's part of the joke. Like that's why ESPN brings him back. You know, it's like we know everyone doesn't like him, but you know, he's just that character, and we've bought into it. I don't know.
Oh, he's safe, and like you said,
But-
that's just the voice you're used to. Like, how long were you used to John Madden in NFL games? I mean, he was terrible his last few years, I felt, but they kept bringing him back.
Ugh. I think those are the
Like
only
he's not
games-
even that. Walton's not even that popular.
No,
I feel like a Dick Vitale stands out to me. Like, who wants to like? Yeah, I'm gonna listen to
He's-
Walton. You know,
see a lot of people
you know,
don't
go
like
off. You know what I'm saying?
right. A lot of people don't like Dick Vitale. I think he's great.
He's
I mean,
still
he's
around?
got knowledge.
Oh my gosh,
What'd you say?
I honestly thought he wasn't alive anymore. The minute you said
Dude,
Dick
he has to-
Vitale, I was like,
I think he is a.
Yeah, he's
It's
Yeah, he-
awesome, baby.
yeah, he's raised enough money for the Jimmy V Foundation that his life just keeps expanding. He's like 120 years old. He's got to be, right?
I thought he was old when I was
Hey,
like a kid.
he's
Like-
up there.
Like, you know, he's one of those people that were old when you were young, and I was like, he's still
Yes.
alive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're still old, bro. You know. But you know what's funny? When we were young, he was probably like 50.
Yeah, if
Which
even
now
that,
that-
yeah, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're 20 years from that, so you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'll be 40 next year, so I feel like 40 used to be old. You know?
Shit, I
Now-
remember when my dad turned 35. I was like, "You're old."
Well, yeah, I mean that's how my kids view me as an old man, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm still trying to figure
It's
everything
still
out.
old. You guys are just that age now.
You guys.
So you guys are talking about the Bill Walton. We just
You guys
we just
were all the same age.
hey, I like you guys are talking about Bill Walton commentating. I just watched Snoop Dogg commentate some fights, and
Oh.
I'm just like, hey, this dude got it.
No, it was
Okay,
garbage.
Like, why not just pay for a guy? Would you rather listen to Snoop do his ad libs or Bill Walton?
I got two things I want to
Snoop.
say. I want to say real quick. First, Snoop did get a lot of compliments online from like
I
pretty
agree.
major people. Second, Kevin, you sound like a McDonald's drive-through person. How about you bring that mic down just a little bit? And talk
He sounds better without a mic.
Yeah, talk into the mic, my friend. Yeah.
Hey, we learned.
2 large fries, 3T, double cheeseburger.
I want one of them new McRibs. Look, Jared's up there coughing up a Corona.
Nah,
I just
here's my favorite one right here. You go to the Taco Bell drive-thru, and you're like, "Hey, I want extra hot sauce." All right, no hot sauce. All right, I'm gonna put no hot sauce in your bag.
He does sound like he does sound like he's working at a drive-through.
He does.
No hot
got
sauce
our-
is going in your bag.
We got
I
our
don't know hot
podcast
sauce.
name. We got our podcast name. Kevin, Kevin at the drive-through. We thought we had the mic issues. I was just talking to my buddy about this the other day about how, like, I think we're really starting to, because he made the comment. He was like, yeah, some of those first episodes, it was just so hard to listen to because you got half of the show was, are you there? Can you hear me? Dude, what happened? You know what I'm saying? So we're almost
Yeah.
100 in. We're almost 100 in. We're still working on it.
Yep.
As,
oh
as part of the growth,
Like
right?
I feel like some people just got it, man. Like Bill Walton's not charismatic at all, and like Snoop
No.
Dogg just comes off. I mean, it looks like two uncles at a barbecue fighting, and like
Well,
he knows
he
what
just
to say. Like some people just don't know. I mean,
so you liked it? Did you like did you like Snoop's commentary?
Hold on. Like Snoop's
Do what?
commentary, I did not like the fight.
You like
Oh,
the
really?
commentary, but not the fight.
Right, I
But
got you.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't mind the fight. I mean, once it was a draw, and for those that don't know what we're talking about Mike Tyson fought
Roy Jones.
Jones.
Roy Jones Jr. But it ended up in a draw, and I don't know. It was this weird, there's some weird rules on it. Like apparently, like if either one of them got cut at all, it was immediately going to be called. Like I think I even heard that there was supposed to be no hard headshots, or something to that effect. Like they were definitely going to protect the fighters, which I think might turn into a league so some of these older fighters can still go out there and be competitive and kind of well, that'd probably be a good conversation to have. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about like older either basketball players or football players maybe, but now even older boxers still trying to perform?
I think when it
Compete.
comes to contact sports, I definitely don't think you should really, have older gentlemen doing it. There's
Especially when it involves
I mean,
hits
look,
to the head.
well, yeah, and when you get to a certain age, there comes a time when even simply falling down means the end of your life.
Right.
So I just don't know. Basketball is a different thing. Even like they have what I think I mentioned, the senior PGA. I think there are sports that you could do it. Not that golf is a real sport, but
How dare you?
I mean, you don't see LeBron James being driven up and down the court on a go-kart, do you?
Really? Oh my God, that's what you came with?
I did. But yeah, I think in some instances, but not the full contact kind. Even if you say no heavy shots to the head, all it takes is a slip.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part is, go ahead.
keep in mind, like these players, Tyson and Roy Jones probably have at least like upper 40 of fights in them. Like that's 40 times they've been out there, and they've been through
All
training
those
and all that stuff.
punches.
These guys have been hit a lot.
Yep.
To like not do it for a while and then come back. That is dangerous.
Do you remember seeing Chuck Liddell towards the end of his career? How like sad you were about Chuck Liddell? Like it was just sad
know.
his last 2 or 3 fights.
It was. And you know what's crazy? It was after that Rashad Evans knockout, and I was there. I loved Chuck Liddell. Nika got me tickets, and it was in Atlanta, and we went down there, and he got knocked out, and he was not the same after that because like Rich Franklin knocked him out shortly after that. And there was one other person, and he was done. Like he basically had a glass chin at that point. Tito knocked him out, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Of course, that was a couple
think-
years ago.
I don't know the validity of it, but I've heard that once you get knocked out, it's easier to get knocked out, and it gets easier and easier, and it's more of a brain defense. to make you
Right.
stop what you're doing.
Yep, it really is. That's exactly what it is, and people can kind of train that. Your body's amazing. I mean, when it get no different than getting leg kicked or whatever. It's like after a while, yeah, it hurts, but your body has learned to take that abuse, and it's going to take it again tomorrow. So eventually, your body just gets used to it for the most part. I mean, some people don't realize this. Literally, one leg kick from a trained mixed martial artist would cripple any of us for, a solid week. We're probably barely walking.
You're average man, yeah.
Yeah, they say it's like getting hit with a baseball bat. So just imagine someone just coming up and just hitting you as hard as they can in the shin with a baseball bat. That's like when you talk about Muay Thai fighters, that's how they train. They kick trees to strengthen their shins. It's crazy. It really is.
The question that pops in my mind, after watching all this and, just kind of, growing up watching these older guys, always trying to come back. What is it about fighters and boxers, hand-to-hand combat guys that just like make it so they can't give it up, and they just want to keep coming back for more? These older guys, getting back. I get it. It's the competition thing. And, I get it that I'm 38 years old and I still go out and try to play basketball competitively, semi-competitively, with other people. I get that part, but maybe you can answer this because you guys follow the sport closer than I do, but like, what is it, that makes these guys more, it's not like, and there are older guys in other sports that try to do it, but like, like they always say, other time always wins, they can't compete, these older guys can't compete in the NFL or the NBA, like they can in,
once you become slower
stuff. Yeah.
Once you become slower in the majority of sports, you're done. And the majority of sports, you got to be fast, except for golf, the number one athletic sport in the world. Because sometimes it's hard to drive a golf cart and drink a beer, and LeBron James can't do that. So, and try to find a little white ball that's 9 times out of 10 not in the fairway if you're me. So Jared knows what that's about.
Yes, sir.
You should put one of those tiles on the ball. One of those little tile things you can put on your stuff to make noise.
Yeah. Or just glow. Yeah, they need something.
Just get the ball. Go steal some balls from Top Golf and use the tracker to track.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's the future. I'm sure there'll be GPS. All you gotta do is put a GPS on the ball, have an app, boom. Hey, man, Richard, are you smart enough to create that for us?
No.
Do this.
I don't know if it's
I'm surprised nobody's never done that. Don't they do it?
It might just be lazy.
They do that with like fishing lures.
Yeah, they do it on fishing lures. Yeah, I don't have any. I don't care that much. Like if it's at the bottom of the pond, it's still at the bottom of the pond. I'm not gonna fish it out. It's a goner. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, to answer your question, Jared, I think it becomes most of these people's identity. It's all they know.
True.
Right. Even with us, like all we know is sports, or at least watching sports or whatever. Right. It's all they know. But I think it's more of that competitiveness that's in all of us. Right. And there comes a certain point of your life where you have to shut it down because you just can't compete with the elites at the elite level. But it doesn't mean it's gone. No different than once we were out of high school and our sport days were kind of gone. It doesn't mean that we still don't want to compete. Right. We still love sports. Like it's what we've done our whole life. Just because we're 18 or 20 doesn't mean we stop. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's, for a lot of athletes too, man, like you got to think that like they really live two totally different lives. Right. Because their career is until, if you're 40, you're like almost old. You know what I'm saying? You're just like, there's some people like Tom Brady, who's still doing it, and is Brett Favre still playing? I'm just kidding.
No.
Has he came back again? You know.
No.
So yes, I mean, I think that's probably what comes out to me is it's too hard to put that desire to compete away. Let me end with this real quick. The interesting thing about the Mike Tyson situation is that he was on Rogan like months ago, and he was like overweight, and like, I mean, they were drinking and just like shooting the crap, and like he was talking about how he has like zero desire to train, because Joe was like, why aren't you training? Like, you don't ever want to just go hit the pads? And he's like, no, like I don't. Like, I have no desire to train. What he would say is that I'm afraid to bring up that beast again, because I know what it took to be a fighter, and I don't want that evil dog to come out of me. And then you fast forward until the most recent one, and you should see like how focused, like he is a complete and utter different person. Like it's a fascinating 2 different interviews to see. And he told Joe, because Joe said like, dude, you were just on this podcast like less than a year ago. You were you didn't have any of this strong desire to fight again in you. He's like, what changed? He goes, my wife called me fat, and I got on the treadmill and I ran for 2 hours straight. He goes, and it just came out of me, and then I just started training. And I was like, okay, it just doesn't leave you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's kind of a good example of, what I was alluding to. So.
Yeah. Well, the reason I brought it up is just because I've seen the progression of like sports and activities that my friends or people my age, do or tend, to kind of keep this, kind of thing going. And I don't know if you haven't, like, Blake, I know you play, volleyball, on a semi-regular basis, or you did pre-COVID. I've got some friends that do pickleball. I don't know if you've heard about pickleball, but it's like
that's
super
the crave.
popular up here.
It's the old person game.
Yeah, but like I've got, guys my age who I play, pickup basketball with, who like play that more than they play basketball, and like super into it, and like other golf, like that's a game that is timeless to me, because like I went out there with my uncle, and he's 60 something years old, and I mean, I drove it past him every time. Granted, I was left or right, but
he beat you by 20 strokes.
But like, he beat me by 20 strokes. I mean, he was 60 something, and he shot like a 78, and I shot like a 99 or something stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
he figured it out.
Yeah. So like I've just seen this natural progression of like, things to, I guess, satiate that competitive desire we all have, just in different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like, so Richard and Kevin, do you guys play sports at all? Like, because I know you both played athletics in high school and stuff. Like, or do you kind of get that competitive fix just from video games?
I would say I get mine from video games, and actually helping with the development of my daughter, like kind of living through that part. Everybody's laughing at me, so something's messed up. But
you're good, bro. Just give me extra hot sauce on my taco. That's all I'm asking for.
I want some extra Chick-fil-A sauce.
You were fine once you were going.
Sauce,
it was the initial.
If you didn't want sour cream, you'll get extra sour cream.
No.
Extra sour cream for you, buddy.
Oh, it's great. Keep going.
I would say I get it from video games. That video games gets my competitive fix, and then like just trying to help my daughter get to where she wants to go. That's how I get it, man.
I feel you. That's what's up.
Yeah, I don't really have any desire. I mean, I go back and shoot basketball, but I've never really even been super competitive. Even when I did play sports, like I didn't care if I won or lost. I just played.
Right.
So
yeah. You're like, oh, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
Time to go home.
Game's over, I guess.
Yeah.
Time to go Dairy Queen.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, it's the only reason I'm here. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I just
So
like
it's
to get
all-
pizza at the
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was more about
Yeah.
the friendships and everything. I formed. Even even in the military, it was like it was all about the friendships. More
Yeah,
than
I agree.
the competitiveness that I just don't have a competitive nature. That doesn't mean I didn't try or anything like that. I don't want anybody to think I just went out there and went willy-nilly, but to me it was just more about the friendships and everything, and
Yeah,
it never really, like I said, I'll go outside and play ball and everything, and I think a lot of it is the nostalgia factor of what was. It's just that desire. When we talk about video games even, I don't know about Kevin, but every once in a while I'll fire up an old video game just for that nostalgia factor. And, and you
Mhm.
realize that you're looking through it through a different lens now. Like, it's not what it was. Like, it'll be fun for like maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but then you'll just be like, ugh, what the hell was that?
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's, if maybe it's just human nature in general to want to go back to what was, when you were at the
Right.
peak of you know, what you remember. So it, could also just
The
be
good time. Yeah, and
Good
and it's
times.
good times. Like it's
Yeah.
good times playing that sport. Going to different games, going to different gyms. Letting out that energy. The bonds, the friendships that like that connect. That's what I've always loved about sports is just that connection, that like team. It's your team. If a guy misses the shot, you pick him up at the end of the game and encourage him. It's like it's that brotherhood. I think that's another thing that a lot of these athletes have to miss. They have to miss
and,
that brotherhood, that freedom of just
and you get those Uncle Rico moments too. It's like, hey, if Coach would have put me in, we would have won. I bet I can throw that ball over those mountains over there. But then, I feel what you're talking about, Blake. Like a lot of those times, when you're in a sport, you're dedicated to it, and like 5 to 6 days a week, those are the only people that you see. So you start developing those relationships with those guys, and they start becoming family and stuff like that. So you build that camaraderie and all that stuff. You build those relationships. I agree with that.
Yep. You're talking about the Uncle Rico comment. I got a kind of something funny happened the other day. My niece and nephew were over Jackson. He's is he 8 now? I think he's my little buddy. I kind of introduced him to Michael Jordan, and now like a few years ago, now it's like he's obsessed with Michael Jordan, and he likes shoes, and I always buy him watches and stuff. So he's my little buddy, So, anyways, tennis there. I saw like a match of tennis was on, and I was like, I'm gonna turn that on and see if because I played tennis in high school, and see if they've even watched tennis. So I started talking to him about it, and he starts asking me questions, and he's like, "Did you play?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he was like where? And I was like, high school. He's like, "You did?" To him, high school is probably like, the big leagues. You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I played on the varsity team. And I heard my wife. Then my wife was in the kitchen. She's like, "Are you living in your glory days right now with your nephew?" And I was like, "I'm not meaning to. He just keeps asking me questions."
Hulk high threw 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. He was like, "What other sports did you play?" And I'm like, "Well, I was in a bowling league once." That's like naming all the sports I played.
Made you feel good about yourself again.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So there you go. There's my Uncle Rico moment, I guess. That's funny.
Getting ready to. I volunteered to coach my daughter and my son's basketball league.
Oh, I'm so jealous, dude.
Starts next week.
I'm so jealous.
So kind of mix that and we've talked on our thing, and I do my podcast about sports cards, and so I've kind of gotten them into wanting to look for cards when we go to like the store and like at Walmart or Meijer or Target or wherever, find some cards, and kind of that's a way to introduce them. And, obviously I'm watching it. So they're, they'll come in and out and watch it with me, football games, basketball games, whatever. And so to see them, they've gone to like different card shows with me, and like my daughter really likes Kobe Bryant for what I have no idea why, other than she likes him and she's followed him. So we've went to a couple card shows. She's gotten a couple of his rookie cards and a couple of his other cards to add to her collection.
That's cool.
And then my son likes LeBron, and so got a couple of his cards as well. So kind of tie that all back. So we start basketball next week. So I hope to kind of see, those bonds and those like
it's the best
friendships that they create, and like build even and hopefully with me as their coach, hopefully I can add to that and not take away and be some jackass.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. There's a fine line there. Yeah. No, you're right, man. And even the relationships you'll gain with the kids you're coaching, that's the one thing my dad and I talk about. Like you start like you can, and some of the kids you can kind of tell maybe have a rough background, or mommy and daddy never show up. Somebody else always drops them off. It's these. You can just tell. You can tell some of the trouble kids, and to really be able to connect with them, dude. I got to get back to coaching, man. It drives me crazy. I love it. I miss it.
I will see. It starts next week. 3 weeks of practice, and then games start like the first week of January. So,
well, good luck,
man. They're
man.
hyped about it, so that's awesome.
That is awesome. You've been.
Would you guys rather just coach, or do your kids have to be involved? Because I would like to coach, but I don't want my kid to be involved. You feel what I'm saying? Like it never works when my kid's involved in the coaching.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I feel like right now it would be selfish of me to take time away from my kids to coach other kids, right? Because if I'm doing that, then, well, yeah, but I'm also, they need help. My family needs help on a specific night of the evening or whatever, but I'm out coaching other kids or whatever. It's just, but I mean, if it was a paying gig, sign me up. Dude, that'd be awesome. But I just love to coach. I mean, it's just I love to encourage. I love to watch a little kid go from have no idea how to dribble or shoot, or swing a bat, to making contact and getting excited. It's just little things like that. I think it's fun. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be a very good coach. So we'll just lay it out there.
Hey, you know what, Richard? I agree. I don't think you would be either. No offense.
I'm taking that's why I don't coach.
Shots fired.
Do what?
That's why I don't coach.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hey, some people know what they're good or not good at.
Like, where'd you come from? The Pacers organization? Get out of here.
I knew it. Dude, I was waiting. Hey, I almost said, has your daughter been trying to find any Roy Hibbert cards when you were talking earlier?
I'm sure they're out there, but no.
So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, they on our group chat earlier, Jared and Richard were kind of not really going at it, but just playfully playing about the Pacers signing Roy Hibbert a few years ago. When was it? Because he got a really big deal.
Was it
2011, 2012, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they always joke with each other about the Pacers organization sucking. So they start going in on each other about the Roy Hibbert signing. Now I will back Jared a little bit, because he did have a really good year. But like the only reason
he's the reason we were competitive against the Heat.
Right. Go ahead, Richard.
He had what? Well, he had 2 good years, right? He was an All-Star twice. But then he had that defensive. What was it? Was it Defensive Player of the Year or something like that? He won.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So
I don't think he ever won it, but he was like top 3.
Okay.
Did he win it?
I don't know. I don't remember. I know he was in two All-Star games for sure, but I think.
But to me, it was on him.
I think he won it.
Yeah, I think
Do
you're
some
right,
Google
Kevin. I think he
research.
did win it one year, and I think the only reason why I even said something was because Jared made that mention about Paul George and how the Pacers made a good choice with Paul George. And I was like, well, they made a shit choice with Roy Hibbert, so you can nullify
You
that
just-
right away.
Like something that happened umpteen years ago. Like you have to bring that up.
Yep.
But see,
Hey,
to
Roy
me,
Hibbert.
like,
Roy Hibbert placed second in defensive player of the year in the 2013-2014 season behind Joakim Noah.
yeah, I mean, so to me, it was the reason I kind of sided with Jared was because it was I don't know if it was a bad signing because he was putting up production. It was he just sucked. Like the next few years, he was garbage.
It's-
Out of nowhere.
It was because
Yeah.
of course the Pacers with no foresight whatsoever neglected to notice that the league was changing in its offense, right? It was becoming a much more spread offense with the 3-point. And big-footed, goofy Roy Hibbert wasn't going to defend anybody on a 3-point line anywhere. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
if-
that's tough though, man.
if he would have played in the mid-90s where like centers were dominant, I think he would have been great. But he just kind of came in at that weird time where for his first few years in the season, the teams were still playing with that center dominance, get it in the post and all that, and it just they just went away from that, and he was unable to produce.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like his offense, wasn't really all that.
No.
As far as being able to back somebody down or to, keep somebody in the lane, but his defensive and just like the league kind of changed to a 3-point shooting league, but his defense to pack the paint against the Heat with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, 3 drivers, and he just packed the paint, and that's when they changed the verticality rule, and it didn't matter if you were inside the circle, he could still jump up, and as tall and as long as he was, that made a difference in that made a huge difference in how we defended them, and that's why we were so successful against them, because when we got our defense set, between David West and Paul George and then Roy Hibbert in the middle, like we could defend them. We couldn't stop them completely, but we could defend them, with the best of them. That's why we took them to 7 games, in the height of their, 7 or 8, finals runs in a row. I mean, that's why, because of those 2 or 3 years that he was, at his peak. Obviously we signed him at the back end of his peak, and we paid the price of that, but that is what it is.
I think it would be difficult to run an organization. You just never know. Like it's just so hard. I mean, like you think like even teams like the Charlotte Hornets, like I know they just threw a bunch of money at Gordon Hayward, but it's just like they're just a team in the league. Like they've been hanging around for years and years, right? Like they've never been a contender. Like, I mean, Pacers. Well, I mean, I guess the Pacers Leafs have done well in the playoffs, but I don't know. The Hornets just kind of point out to me. It's just like what have they done wrong? Like, is it just the wrong draft pick on the wrong year? It's just something simple.
It
is it Steph Curry? Did they have an opportunity?
It's trading Kobe for Lade Divac. It is drafting Adam Morrison when you could have took somebody else. I was watching one of Bill Simmons' redraftables, and it was the year that could have, they took Emeka Okafor with the 2nd pick, and he was good in college, but I mean, they could have had so much better, I mean, those are slight things. I mean, that's what's kept the Pacers there, is drafting Danny Granger, drafting Paul George, drafting, guys in the teens. Granted, they've missed on guys like Tyler Hansborough and TJ Leaf and things like
OG
that. Obviously, who?
OG. That's who the Pacers should have got instead of TJ Leaf.
I mean, miss on you can miss on some of these guys, and one pick away, and it's change. It changes the course of your franchise for years, especially when you get you miss in the top. Think about Darko Milicic, who got drafted in between LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. How do you think that changes the trajectory of the Detroit Pistons if they take Carmelo? Granted, the next year, he would have been, or that year, he would have been coming off the bench for when they ran for the title, and he could have gave them some minutes and taken some minutes away from other guys. But like trajectory of after their little run, it could have extended their run. They were good for 4 or 5 years when they had Prince and Rip and Ben Wallace and Chauncey and those guys and Rasheed.
Shout out to Landon in Michigan, who just got super excited because you just mentioned the Detroit Pistons. Just so you know.
but you think about it, you think about we talked about the Portland Trailblazers. They wanted a guy. Just think of 2 guys in the Portland Trailblazer history, just in the last 15 years, Greg Oden and Brandon Roy, 2 guys that they put a lot of stock in, and because of injuries weren't able to produce, had a ton of talent. And if those 2 guys have a normal NBA career, without injuries, and obviously that's a factor with everybody, but still, those 2 guys, we might be talking differently about the Portland Trailblazers and them hitting, when it comes to certain things. So
and for those of you that don't know, Trailblazers took Oden over Kevin Durant. And if you haven't seen Kevin Durant play, he's really good.
He's kind of good.
He's really good.
Just think, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Kevin Durant.
My mind just blew up. Oh my gosh. Dude, really okay, hey, hold on, time out. Well, first of all, you don't know if that would have happened because Kevin Durant would have kept him competitive. They probably wouldn't have got Damian, blah, blah, blah. But if that was the case and Kevin Durant went on to win a bunch of championships, we're not talking about LeBron James the way we do now. You could almost consider whatever his name is, Kevin Durant, the GOAT or the second GOAT. I mean, he really is that good. Kevin Durant gets a little shade because he left Oklahoma and did what he did, but man, if someone's got to have,
he had Russell Westbrook for all those years, and he had Harden
holding him back.
He had Harden. I mean, Westbrook. How many times did he? I mean, he won the MVP at least once. So I mean, he's not
I guess he was going. I guess he was going up against LeBron during that time too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's what. And then they faced Golden State. I mean that's that was the
that's
wall.
true.
Hey, he really couldn't get to LeBron.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
I mean, here recently he just can't stay on the floor. So I mean, that's what's hurting him right now.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but I'm excited to see him and Kawhi play together if they can stay healthy. And Dinwiddie. Boy, this podcast has been all sports. We lost every female listener. All 2 of you.
We'll pick them back up later.
yeah. We'll get them on the rebound. Hey, what'd you say?
Well, I was gonna move away from sports.
I was trying to find a segue. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh no,
but we just kept rolling. Go ahead.
Let's talk about that text message that Kevin sent. That totally unnecessary trailer. When I looked at it, they were like COVID-23, and I was just like, "Are you insane that you made
set it up?"
Well, Kevin sends us this text that's a movie trailer, and at first I thought it was just like a B movie piece of garbage, but it turns out it's like full-on Hollywood Michael Bay pandemic movie about COVID, but this time it's COVID-23, and COVID-19 is named because it started the year 2019. So they're saying in 2023, a worst form of COVID is going to hit, and it's basically the government. You're going to have an app on your phone where you have to scan your face, and if it's detected an anomaly, basically a COVID SWAT team will show up at your door and kick it in and drag you away to a concentration camp. So
It's like
Yeah.
it's put it's taking what's happening now
I mean,
and putting it on steroids
this-
and making it be like this is how it could be,
this
right?
is produced by Donald Trump. I mean,
But-
it was just insane. Like, what? I was just like, man, the anti-maskers are screaming right now. Like, are you heads just blew watching this trailer? It's not a good
you think-
idea. I don't think that's a good idea to produce a movie like this and put it out. People are nuts. Like, I'm gonna watch it, but there are people out there that are people
Oh,
out
definitely.
there are just crazy. Anyways, and they're gonna
Help me
believe
with
that
this,
this is true.
the title of the movie, Songbird.
Yeah,
So the title of the movie is Songbird. That's really cool. What was one of the creepiest things about the whole movie trailer? They took a feel good Marley song and made it creepy as hell. Did they not?
They did. They did. They
Um,
hurt my boy
and I
Bobby
think
on
the
that song.
reason- I think the reason that like I'm drawn into it and like we're all thinking that it's like kind of freaky and freaked out is because it's so close to like the truth
Real.
now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so
Yeah, like, you
like
could see
is
it
this
happen.
what's gonna happen in a couple of months? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like because it's how like some movies are so futuristic, you're just like, oh man, that's hundreds of years away.
I've never had-
This one's like, oh, is this 2021 that this is happening? I mean, I
Yeah.
know it says 23, so I guess it'd be 23, but yeah, it's I mean, it's obviously I hope it's far fetched. I hope it doesn't, but I think it's what a lot of people fear. Right? And they dug into what people fear.
Yeah. Well, because if you see about the theories of the multiple theories of the way this came out, is like it's very plausible it'll happen again. Like it's not, you know what I mean? I don't, regardless of how you believe it got out, it's one of two or three theories that are floating out there that it's plausible. Like it's just gonna happen
Right.
again. And
Right. And we'll know and we'll learn from it and not hopefully react like that movie. We'll be able to know how to handle it better,
Well,
hopefully.
that's the thing, was in the movie, like it seemed like they acted the exact same way we're acting now, but a little bit more on steroids. But
Right.
but it's like I could really see us acting that way.
It's us acting under Biden. Come on.
I guess it would be. It would be.
Yeah.
under-
Yeah. Maybe that's why you said, did Trump put this out?
Well, because it's like it's so ridiculous and far fetched. It's like it's just like him. Like okay, but I mean that's a joke. The joke aside, it's
Right,
just,
right.
It's like I don't know, man. Like there were certain video games that they pushed back or didn't release because of the pandemic, because they were nervous that it would strike fear or it would do something,
Wow.
to people in terms of just because most people already are basically up a notch, right? Why would you turn that up with a Hollywood feature film? Like,
Yeah. Well, you know why.
it just doesn't
I mean,
make any sense. And I mean, it's so Michael Bay too, just to be a jackass. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're
And how quickly. And look how quickly they got something produced.
all the bodies haven't even hit the floor yet.
Yeah, they
dude,
made
and
the
you're
full
already
movie,
producing
yeah.
a movie.
Yeah, and how are they able to do it with the restrictions?
Oh,
Were they acting with masks on?
Oh, haven't you heard the story in L.A.? So this is a fun story I heard today. So in L.A. the other day, there was like 400 or 500 people that got this letter or voicemail that basically said, "Hey, you were scheduled to get a COVID test on Tuesday at this site. Well, unfortunately, the site's going to be closed down because there's going to be a movie filmed there. So they had to close the testing site so Hollywood could film the movie."
Yep.
Right? So it turns out it was just a total misunderstanding in terms of like, well, they had booked this months in advance before, like they even knew it was going to be a testing site. The Hollywood people did. And so they came in and they said they were trying to work with, the testing site to say, hey, you know what, let's kind of work out, when we can film and when you guys want to do your test and all that. And I guess the governor had to step in eventually and just be like, it's not closing down. Like, it's not. So, but then
Yeah.
again, those people already got their message saying it was going to be closed. So who knows how that turned
That's
out. in the
crazy.
end. So yeah, there's your answer. And also, I think a lot of these places are turned into New Mexico now for a lot of their filming. They're saying like New Mexico is like the next hotbed for filming movies and TV shows. So it was Atlanta, and now I guess it went to New Mexico. So, and I'm pretty sure that that's due to COVID restrictions too. And the same thing WWE,
Right.
you know, a bunch of other people are doing. They're just finding ways around it. Like it's just, you know,
Yeah. And that's
Precaution
what you
and
got to do, I
taking
guess.
tests and all that stuff every day.
yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think they're going to, because I know the last few weeks ago we kind of talked, like I was afraid the barbershop was going to shut down and all that. Do you think any of that's going to happen or no?
I think we'll know within
I've
the next,
turned it all off, so I don't really know anything anymore.
I think we'll know within the next week to 2 weeks, whatever happens with the Thanksgiving numbers. I haven't seen them go up a lot yet. They actually haven't hit a high yet. So I would say probably by next week, we'll probably have a good idea of how the Thanksgiving numbers go. They said the traveling over Thanksgiving was just insane, like the highest it's been all year. So people traveled.
Yeah, I mean, my next, well, 2 hours down, he got it, but he didn't travel. But I have family members who traveled for Thanksgiving. One went to Mexico, you know, to Cancun. The others drove to Houston, Texas. So, like, I mean, it was in a house, but they were still all out and about and at a resort and stuff like that. So, I mean,
I think the majority of people's mindset is, I still got to do life. I'm going to take the precautions, you know, because I mean, even the people that I know that are taking the precautions still are getting it, you know. So it's like it's almost like you're either going to get it or not. You know, you got to get out. You got to go to the store. You got to do what you got to do to, you know. I guess don't be excessive, you know, about it, but
Like
you
go
know.
to Mexico.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, if you're wearing a mask and everywhere you go, I mean, like, you know, does it matter? You know, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know,
It depends
dude.
upon what the resort's doing. I mean, you know, it's weird that, I mean, we can say stuff like that, but at the same time, you have places that basically don't have it anymore. That places have gotten rid of it. You know, like your New Zealand, and there's Sydney, Australia. You know, there's places that have 0 cases now. You know, so I mean, for people to say there's nothing you could do about it is just silly. Like it's not true, because there were things you could do about it. People did do something about it, and they no longer have cases.
yeah, but I mean, we have also taken many steps, but the numbers are still apparently going up.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so
because-
it's, you know, it's that catch. It's like, well, you know,
yeah.
how are we doing it so much more wrong or worse than someone else, you know? And we
Well,
also
yeah,
have a buttload of
everybody and their
people.
mother probably wasn't a essential service.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, the essential service thing was a joke.
Right.
So many, when you see, you know, WWE wrestlers labeled as essential service, you know that something's probably wrong, and it's
Yeah.
not being taken seriously.
need our entertainment.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, we got to have our wrestling.
Yeah.
They didn't have an entire back catalog they could have gone through and thrown out there of never before seen matches or anything.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, you know,
Right.
I just don't think people took it seriously, and they still don't, and that's this is just the end result.
We'll see.
I
We'll see
agree.
if that movie comes true.
Please don't.
I think some people get lax too because they think that this vaccine is just gonna wipe everything. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they got a free safety in the vaccine that's coming too.
I honestly just treat it like the flu. I mean, at this point, at my age, it's the flu, right? Because if I have the flu, guess what? I'm still staying home and staying away from all my loved ones, right? So it's no different than if I get this or if I got a cold. Like, I'm still staying away from everybody. So, Now I just wear a mask everywhere I go. And now I don't mind because it's freaking freezing outside. And at least I have a mask to cover my bare face.
Yeah, when we go outside and scrape the ice off our cars, why?
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
Rich,
Yeah. This is the episode. This is the episode that I fall in love with the mask because it's finally cold enough to wear it. Oh man. Anything else? Anything else going on? Any other hot topics?
I don't think so. I don't. I'm sure more things will show up as
When we
next
get off
month.
the air.
Yeah, more things will come up. Yeah. I was more thinking about when the presidency changes. There might be some fun things that come up. But right now,
Is that still happening? I mean, do we have a winner, or is Trump still fighting this?
so out of 39 cases he's filed countrywide, he's won 1. So he's 1 for 39. In the
Right.
Wisconsin count, he made them redo. Joe Biden actually gained votes. So it's pretty much all over at this point in time. There's nothing.
Is there fraud though?
No.
Like,
No.
is that what he's fighting to just prove that there was
No.
fraud?
I
Even
mean,
if he loses,
There are multiple. No, he's fighting because he's basically being dragged away, and he's kicking and screaming as he's going away. I mean,
Right.
people in high positions. The cybersecurity chief basically came out and said there wasn't fraud. There's multiple people have come out that are in charge of their districts, of their states, have come out and said there's not fraud. There's going to be, as with every election, a very small amount of fraud. I mean, we're talking, maybe double digits, if even that.
Right.
Not nearly enough and they were saying that it was funny because I was reading some news the other day where they were talking about how people that were dead were voting. And they
Right.
said this one guy that was 107 or 102 was dead, and he voted, and blah blah blah, and he came out and was like, "Hey, I'm still alive, and I voted. That's wrong."
Oh,
And
awesome.
people just
yeah, and
yo,
then-
bro, still here.
yeah, I did not illegally vote. I'm here. And then there was like another lady
Yeah.
that came out, and I guess like back when, back in the day, you could call yourself like I don't know. I don't know what the exact term of it was, but she called herself Mr., Mrs., whatever, blah blah blah, whatever their name was. And so they took that as the man voting, and the man was dead, but she was alive, so she had to come out and say, "No, this is my legal name. I did vote, not him." And so that ended up. So there were cases like that just
Right.
kind of ended up not being true, and
Which those cases probably happen every year, but just
Oh, yeah.
because this election was such a big deal, it's everything's a story.
yeah, it's just kicking and screaming, man, just kicking and screaming. That's like a child.
Yeah. Well, hopefully a good positive message comes out of all of this, and it's not a Songbird situation or whatever the name of that movie is.
We'll see in 2023, won't we?
Yeah.
Bated breath.
Yeah, we'll probably still be doing this podcast. We literally can't leave the house.
Yeah, I might as well just do it every day at that point in time. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're
What
all
else we
living
gonna
on
do? We're not
government
gonna-
assistance now, anyways.
Can't-
I don't.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
You have to wonder, like, how would that turn out? Because it's like you got to think if it got that bad, very few
there's-
companies would be open. Like, it's just like how does that work at that point in time? Like, I don't.
It doesn't.
Like, I guess you just can't
We
get
all-
evicted from your house at that point in time, and government has to provide for everybody somehow.
Yeah.
Because what were they
It'd be a-
saying? They were saying they were on like week 223 or something like that of the new
Yeah.
pandemic.
And 223 or something like that. Yeah.
So this wasn't even in the year
Could you ima-
2023.
I mean, I would think if you were going that long, like people are looting people's houses, like basically people
you're a
robbing each
survivor.
other, like
Yeah.
you're a survivor of the fittest.
Yeah, you literally can't even. I mean, I hope the movie is so far fetched. You know what I'm saying? To where it's just like, there's no way all these Americans would allow this to happen. Like, I mean, it would literally be the government taking everything from us. You know, shutting down all the businesses, like you said. I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't see it happening. But
some people fear it that way, and like those are the people that, hey, I got to get a bunker and have all my guns,
Get
and
the
you know
silo.
what I'm saying? Like,
there's a
some
lot of people out there
are gonna
like
look at
that.
this and like people are
There's a
gonna
ton of
look at this
people
and
like
react the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
But it's gonna make a lot of money because in the right strings, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sure
Yeah.
is.
People will watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonder when it's coming out. Is it gonna be a Netflix release?
Hey, that's
I
what
don't know.
when I first watched it, that's what I thought it was gonna be out on or something like that. Like you said, like I thought it was gonna be like a low budget. Saw Michael Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically it could still be Netflix, but it's. I mean, ain't no one going to the movie theaters for at least another year.
It's
There won't be
gonna-
movie theaters then.
yeah, it's gonna be a free stream on HBO Max.
Yeah, like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
They sure as hell gave that up. They're like, they dug their heels in and said that they were not going to release it on a stream. Come December, yeah, I guess we're just going to release it on the stream because, I mean, even if you release it by
Yeah.
next spring, no one's coming to see it.